Welcome to Gamers 2 Story Time Fireside Chat. It's gonna be might be a
Fireside Chat's a good one. I like that one.
Fireside Chat. I'm not in a wheelchair with a blanket over my lap. That was the right president, right?
Yeah, I wish I was. Sounds nice.
I don't know about the wheelchair part of it, but I mean, I'll take the blanket. It should be. I mean, at time of recording, it's not December 25th, but let's not break the immersion as far as we're concerned. It is December 25th, and there was clearly no news and nothing important happened in the gaming industry for the entire week. And if it did, well, shit. Instead, we're just going to spitball some bullshit. Which, for some reason, I decided the idea of us going to the subreddit writing prompts and then picking prompts and throwing them at each other, not for the other person just to come up with the story based on the prompt, but for us as a whole to get our little creative juices flowing in a sense. We're just going to read some prompts we find entertaining and see if we can make the movie or the story around them, as we've done, or I guess famously happened 2 weeks ago when Nate and Matt wrote a Lifetime Christmas movie, which had way too many things in it, or way too many Lifetime moments happening at once.
Which I heard was exactly what the KFC movie was. That 15-minute thing was basically all the Lifetime...
All the tropes
mushed into one.
Good news. Didn't watch it. But I feel like we could even start there. We could 100% make that movie, and it would be longer than 15 minutes. Because we have to build to the tropes. You have to start with a young Colonel Sanders. A man in his teens going through his high school ribbing only to go into the military and truly earn his name, Colonel Sanders.
So
we can start there. We can start with this.
I mean, would you start the movie with him just ingrained with the...
what genre?
I don't know.
Doesn't have to be a romance. Doesn't have to be a Lifetime movie.
I feel like it would be like a Forrest Gump style movie.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Forrest, but is he Forrest?
Well, he's the main character.
Are we removing the slow aspect from Forrest?
Yeah, it's just that whole idea, the whole structure, like the whole
narrative based. There is some type of a narrator, even though it might just be Sanders.
Yeah,
kind of him retelling.
Could be, yeah.
A la Private Ryan almost as well.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though.
Saving Private Ryan is the full title of that, not just Private Ryan.
The problem with the Colonel Sanders origin story is that, do you establish his desire to make finger looking good fried chicken, like in the movie, or is it just there and you just establish it and it's just always a thing? Like, is that like his dream as being a child, or is it something in his life that makes him want to?
I think we establish it in such a way. Also, this podcast is not sponsored, but it is brought to you by Lake of the Woods Brewing Company. I'm drinking a Forgotten Lake Blueberry Ale. It's delicious. There's not much blueberry, which is interesting. That being said, sorry, I had to get the shout out to the old Forgotten Lake community because they're listening. That being said,
you're not Forgotten Lake.
No, never forgotten, never forget. I think you actually start it with a semi-dramatic childhood experience. Clearly raised in Kentucky.
Okay.
Which is the whole where Kentucky Fried comes from. Or even raised in Tennessee and he has to move to Kentucky for a reason I'm about to explain. So you know how there are, similar to your state fairs, county festivals, all that stuff, where there's baking competitions. And people can submit pies and yada yada, and there's judges, blue ribbon happens, whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
This story would start with whatever state we decide to put him in. It has to be either in Kentucky or bordering Kentucky to eventually get to the KFC idea. It has to be next to or in. But he manages to win at all the smaller levels with his fried chicken recipe until he goes to the state level, in which he's been riding high this entire time and loses the biggest prize that he would claim at the state level to his rival that he met that week. And unknown to him, his rival sabotaged him.
Okay.
By putting in some type of seasoning flavor into like his mix without him knowing.
So,
and then it becomes a quest to forever beat the rival again.
So what I was thinking was more of are you familiar with The Great Gatsby?
I've read the book.
So I was thinking more of a Gatsby-esque character.
Oh, okay. All right.
And
we're 100% making two different movies at that point.
Yeah. Well, this was what I was thinking was he was kind of somewhat of a tormented soul.
But also mysterious.
Yes. And like, Gatsby and Great Gatsby is like his whole purpose for being is he's pursuing what's her face there. I can't remember her name.
Well, there's also the entire, if you want to really read into Gatsby, it's that he's not himself and there's 6 people that are him, technically.
So he's pursuing, we're not going to go there. He's pursuing the.
I'm just saying if we lean that part into that. Okay, but he's pursuing a girl. Okay.
Yep. And like, that's the motif, I guess, right there. It's like he had maybe some fried chicken from some person in his past. Maybe it was a child, like a nanny or something. Like something that like a moment that hit him. And ever since then, he's been chasing that. And he's like this tormented soul that's constantly trying to perfect his finger-licking fried chicken. Okay. And, not realizing that he has the best finger-licking fried chicken. And then, he ends up...
So where does the woman come in?
That was just a reference, like,
okay.
To like that being...
So not the woman, the chicken is the goal.
Yeah, the chicken is the woman.
Yeah, okay. All right, got it. Okay, so if we run with that, then yeah, we say that he's after.
I mean, I'm not saying we have to run with that. I'm just saying that's the idea that I had.
Let's combine them.
Okay.
Tormented childhood keeps us with the same damaged child.
Okay.
Because he got damaged by being beat by his rival at state level. That means they were like 12 years old.
Okay.
And you're very impressionable at that age because you lost demonstrably on the biggest stage of your life at that moment. Then, in his pursuit, never let it go. Happens throughout high school, ribbed through in high school. Oh, what's up, chicken boy? Whole thing, right? Because he's been trying to figure out how he lost the entire time. Building up to like he thought he had the best chicken. It wasn't even a question. How does he lose? Moves to Kentucky. Or was in Kentucky to start with. Whatever the situation is. Keeps developing this chicken. Keeps going. Starts going everywhere with it. With, oh my God, is it 11 herbs and spices? Whatever the number is. Constantly seeking it. And even when he's getting the validation from other people, because he needed a way to finance this entire thing, right? So he had to open a chain.
Okay.
So he has a partner of sorts, female, male, doesn't matter. 2020, we can make this movie however we want. He has a partner of sorts that persuades him to open a restaurant. But he's against the entire thing the entire time. Because he still doesn't think he has the best chicken. But this partner realizes financially Without that restaurant, he's screwed. He can't do it. So he convinces him to open up a restaurant just to at least keep money going. And then he goes down into the bunker, into the research bunker, unaware that his restaurant is thriving. Are we good so far? Are you looking up herbs and spices for me?
I mean, it's 11.
Okay, I was right. All right.
I was like, I'm going to do some background research on Colonel Sanders.
That's not fun.
I mean, he might have some in here.
That's true.
He was born in Indiana, for example.
Perfect. So he starts in Indiana, has to flee the state because he can't live with his own embarrassment. Goes to Kentucky.
The Colonel and Colonel Sanders is not a military.
I know it's not actually a military thing.
It's Kentucky Colonel. It's the highest title of honor bestowed by the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Perfect.
In one of a number of honorary titles of Colonel.
Perfect. Okay.
Blah, 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 goes on.
So just like the Dirty South, they just make colonels happen, apparently. So what we'll do, he can't stay in Indiana because he can't live with the shame. So he moves to Kentucky where nobody knows his name. It's like the reverse of Cheers. So he's in Kentucky, meets this person that convinces them to open the franchise. They call it Kentucky Fried Chicken, blah, blah, blah. He retreats to the bunker to perfect his recipe because he refuses to believe that it's correct. Or the best, right? I guess.
I feel like this is a trivia. We're getting sidetracked. Trivia. What state did the first Kentucky Fried Chicken open in?
Tennessee.
Utah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, what the fuck? Anyways,
I don't
continue.
know. It was probably just fried chicken into Kentucky, technically, I guess.
Well, it's high.
Whole thing.
Great Depression. It was a thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so he opens it in Kentucky this time. We're not following the actual standard of
Yeah.
the Sanders.
Fuck this.
Colonel.
Poetic license here.
Exactly. So he opens the franchise in Kentucky, but he retreats to the bunker, as I've said like 5 times now.
Yep, bunker.
Because he refuses to believe that's his research bunker.
The Colonel Sanders.
It's not really a
research
bunker, but it's the idea of just like he closes himself off from
No,
the
it's
world.
a bunker.
Okay, it's a bunker?
It's a
all right.
bunker.
It's officially a bunker because he refuses to believe that he has actually perfected
We
the
need
recipe.
some shot of a closet, and in the closet is literally just his white
Yeah, there's nothing
white uniforms with black ties or whatever.
Yeah, there's nothing but that in a closet. It probably during some argumentative fight with the other person, there's a closet open in the background that's just nothing but white lab coats.
Bro, let's do the Fight Club angle.
There is no other person.
He's the other person.
He is the other person. I got it. All right. So yeah. So he convinces himself somehow to open up a restaurant.
Yeah.
For his own reason of like, I'm never going to have enough money. You need to do this. Blah, blah, blah. Whole thing happens. Somebody punches him in the face at some point. It's a great time. Down in the bunker. And this is where the fun part is. We see a bunch of spices, almost as if he's a drug dealer. And it looks really bad.
Yeah.
And he just has chickens.
With like centrifuges and stuff that. Okay.
And he just has chickens.
Hmm.
Corpses, not live chickens. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're never going to see the live chicken. These ones are already dead. Because he has no care for live chickens. He orders them for wherever he orders them from, calls it a day.
Mhm.
He's like, I know my secret is in my spices and my frying, not the chicken itself. Everybody loves the skin, not the meat. That's how it works. So he just has a bunch on basically what would be roasting skewers.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're labeled with like spice mix 1, spice mix 2, spice mix 3.
Mm-hmm.
And they're on a count. They're on one wall of the lab. The bunker, the lab. He keeps going. He himself and other entity keep opening franchises because it just starts becoming way too lucrative. And it's not until he tries to open one in Indiana, where he had to flee, that his rival shows back up.
Mm-hmm.
This time, I think we actually bring the rival in. It's a real rival.
Okay.
He Fight Clubs himself out of this entire mind bend that happened when he was a child, he started developing the alter personality
Yeah.
of somebody constantly telling him he wasn't good enough
Mm-hmm.
to also trying to perfect himself. And
So maybe the altered personality is Colonel Sanders, and we're following
his name
Harland.
is Steve. Oh,
Harland.
Harland. Yeah, Harland. Oh, yeah, his actual name. All right,
Yeah. And then, at some point in the movie, he decides to
because the entire thing
kill
is
Harland and just become
Colonel Sanders.
Sanders.
Oh, interesting. Let's go with that. Let's go with that entire thing. He leads up to
Yeah, they're like business partners at first or something.
Yeah. There's some weird business partners, like the guy that signs the LLC corporation. Everything is like looking at him crazy when he's like, "Why do you want both names on this? So he opens a bunch of franchises, but he can't open one in Indiana. Kentucky gives you see the ceremony. Kentucky gives him the Colonel Standard,
Yep.
Standard Colonel title.
Yeah, Kentucky
Which-
Colonel.
Yeah, which gives him both, which shows you now having both personalities having names.
Mm-hmm.
You have Harlan and you have Sanders. They go to open one in Indiana. A rival shows up who has been currently king of Indiana fried chicken. And they got to do a good old like beat Bobby Flay battle.
Okay.
So they both have to go present their fried chicken, the best of their fried chicken, the best that they can make. Go back to your own home kitchens, make it, bring it here. Let's have a panel of 5 judges who can be Iron Chef judges for all I give a shit, show up and declare a winner of best fried chicken. So now we get a sweet training montage. The best around. He's punching chicken carcasses because that's just the Rambo joke in the middle of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But right before he goes...
I was thinking maybe he could be boxing and wearing chickens as gloves.
Ooh, also good. I like it. He just shoves his hands and chew chickens and they're his boxing gloves. Just
He's punching like a giant bag that has the general shape of a punching bag, but it's essentially like a tea bag that's full of spices, herbs and spices.
Yes. Yeah. The room's getting a little dusty.
Yeah.
He's getting high on the spices.
Yeah.
Because every time he gets high on the spices, Colonel Sanders shows up.
Yeah.
You see him throwing like wings and drumsticks at a dartboard, like throwing knives. During the montage, too many spices into the air, he gets high. The problem being when he gets high, Sanders kills Harland. We get that transition happening like the day before they have to go present chicken.
Yeah.
And Sanders officially kills Harland off and
Throws him into
assumes full control.
Throws him into a pressure cooker. I don't know.
Well, we can't actually have him do physical harm that way because he still has to go do the thing. Unless he does it unless that's why he wears the coat, because he burns his arm type of thing.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, we'll do that. He harms himself in a way that the outfit, the full white suit, black tie, covers it.
Mm-hmm.
Sanders has now assumed his body and taken over, and he goes and presents chicken, wins, kills his former foe. Not really, but essentially embarrasses him out, buys all his chains in Indiana, and it is the weirdest Fight Club redemption arc of fried chicken.
So we have a really dark ending to this movie, and it's like Colonel Sanders laughing maniacally over his empire of fried chicken.
It's that, but the final shot is his foe that he just vanquished at the contest, alone in his garage, with a very large pan out scene. You hear a chicken squawk, and then a single gunshot, credits roll. So you're like, did he shoot the chicken? Did he shoot himself? I don't know what just happened.
All right, so is it going to be like the founder of Chick-fil-A or something like that?
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, it does have to be another fast food chain. So maybe he doesn't. Yeah, maybe we don't have him shoot himself. Or maybe it's not necessarily Chick-fil-A, but it is just some other. It doesn't have to be another real fast food place, but another fried chicken joint like Checkers or something like that is their.
What's the fucking Breaking Bad chicken place? Los
Polos?
Yeah, Los Polos.
Or Pollos? Yeah.
Pollos.
All right, there we go. Hour and a half, and it's a dark movie. It's a real dark movie.
I like it, though. I like the idea of a dark Colonel Sanders movie.
Yeah, I like that he got abused he got beaten as a child just out of embarrassment, which then drew him to have a second personality that he never got diagnosed for, who then Fight Clubbed himself into becoming Colonel Sanders, and then officially took over Harlan's body, only to turn around and dominate. Yeah, all right, there you go.
It's perfect.
That's a great movie. I'd watch the shit out of that movie, actually. Because it'd be terrifying.
It would be interesting to shoot it in such a way that you don't realize that it's about Colonel Sanders until there's the reveal where he murders. He murders. I'm doing quotations and murders Harlan and puts on the outfit and everything.
Oh, it's true. So if we we take the Fight Club angle and we remove the idea of showing the closet, and we show him damage himself in a fry cook or something. And he's like, I have to go get a suit. I have to go get a suit to cover this up. And he goes on such late notice that the only thing they have available is the fully white suit and the black tie, yada yada. And that's just what he becomes. That's what he becomes known as. And he's like, what's your name? Colonel Sanders. Boom, Reddit. And then everybody's like, are you fucking kidding me? Granted, if you couldn't figure it out by the fried chicken angle the entire time, well, you got a problem, but...
That could be a part of the reveal, I guess, that like you don't ever really see the fried chicken. You just see like the spices and herbs and stuff. So you do think it's like a drug thing. And then there's a reveal when it's...
Yeah. I think we just leave the chicken thing in, but we leave the anointing of himself, announcing himself as Colonel Sanders, similar to Tony Stark announcing Iron Man. Like, hey, who is Colonel Sanders? And you're like, I am Colonel Sanders. They're like, oh, Harlan. And he's taking questions at a presser after he's won the Indiana chicken off. And he just ends the entire press conference with, I am Colonel Sanders, because he's been going under a pseudonym the entire time. Yeah. Storyboard.
Ugh. Something else.
All right, that's one. You have anything that struck your fancy in there?
Not really. I'm mostly disturbed by some of these where I'm just like, what are you people thinking?
Some of them are pretty disturbing. I did see one I kind of like the idea, us to take an idea on. And this episode doesn't have to be an hour. We're already at 20-something minutes, so let's do one more. Because I was not expecting Colonel Sanders, to be fair. Who was? That's the twist at the end.
No one's ever expecting.
Ever expecting Colonel Sanders. All right, so here's our prompt. Centuries ago, Australia was used as an experimental breeding ground for predatory animals, with criminals being delivered as food. The experiment was forgotten, and somehow the humans managed to survive. Now, you need to write the final report.
So is this like you're one of the humans that survived and you're writing the final report? Or...
I think you're somebody that knows of this idea that was hidden in the deep state, if you will. And it got brought up in a hearing somewhere, and they're like, we need to end this and just write this report and get it done.
Someone's already working on this. It's called Arc 2 with Vin Diesel.
I was going to take a Cloverfield aspect to it.
Like found footage?
Yeah. So you're writing the final report based on found footage in Australia that you've had to keep. You're part of a secret team that this rumor started coming out of Australia that somebody found this tape in a landfill or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's showing this area with these beasts in it and these just people getting devoured, and then eventually like a rise up conquer scenario. And you had to go in, good old secret mission style, and extract the tape and kill the people so they never can speak about it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's told through the footage, but more footage kind of keeps popping up. So and like this weird hit squad of grabbing all the footage you can and silencing everybody while also still telling the story of everything that's going on or that did go on centuries ago.
Interesting. Another approach. Have you ever seen, this is like 80s action flick, Escape from LA or Escape from New York?
I know the movies, but I've never watched them.
Good
I think I
old
know- I think I only know
Snake Plissken.
I think I only know Escape from New York. I don't know about the LA one, I think.
Could go that route.
I'll need some context.
You know, I mean, in the one of them,
Because that sounds like we're living in the centuries ago.
oh, so you're saying this is at
We're in the future acknowledging the past.
okay. See, I interpret it as like this happened in Australia, and like no one goes there now, and
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it's still like that.
because the prompt would be centuries ago. Australia was used as an experimental breeding ground for predatory animals, with criminals delivered as food. But the experiment was forgotten, and the humans survived.
Okay, so I guess you could interpret
So, a la
it.
like extinct animal problem almost, where like we had dinosaurs. We were trying to Jurassic World Australia.
So they're saying like this is their interpretation of why Australia is the way it is today.
Right. Because
Everything's trying to kill you.
Yeah, they sent all their criminals there.
Yeah, that's
And-
legit.
But they were trying to breed super monsters
Yeah,
and gave the criminals as a tribute of food, but it failed. And the criminals lived. And now maybe they lost the super monster, like they don't know where it went. So we could do the horror angle where they found footage, like nobody had to write the final report, right? Like nobody brought it up.
Tremors 5.
Kind of, but let's not make Tremors because fuck that shit. That's terrible movies. Well, not terrible, but they're popcorn flicks and a half. If we take the found footage angle and the idea that we lost the monster, which is the only reason we have to like write the report in quotes. Somebody comes up with found footage, you have to go in, kill the person, get the footage, but then you realize that the footage is dated only a year ago and not centuries ago like we thought it was. So now you're on the mission for
Kind of like this idea.
Godzilla-esque, where is this monster problem?
I think we should spin it even more and it be like modern, it's nowadays or whatever. It's current time for the movie.
Uh-huh.
And no one knows of the existence of Australia because it's been scrubbed from history.
Oh, interesting.
And then like it comes up or like you're in the government of some government or something like that. I don't know why you'd have to go there, but you're like, oh, that's Atlantis. Like that's not real. And people are like, no, like whoever's like, no, it's real. It was scrubbed from history because
there's like the one conspiracy theorist on the team.
Yeah.
That's like, no, it's 100% real. Why do you guys not believe me? And everybody's like, shut up. But then there's the one person that believes the conspiracy theorist is like, come talk to me in my office. And he gives the whole rundown of like what happened in Australia.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like this. So it's 2030 or something, right? We have to put it
2077.
2077. Perfect. I like it. So in 2077, there's a small team put because there was a found footage of something that they didn't understand and they thought was aliens. And the conspiracy theorists recognized it as Australia.
I'm getting like Man in the High Castle vibes in the very beginning with the fucking reel of...
Yes, kind of that mixed with the latest like Godzilla. King of the Monsters, where
I haven't seen it yet.
Dude, don't worry about it. It's not, like I said, it's got a lot of problems. But it's a Godzilla movie. Or similar to, did you watch The Watchmen on HBO?
No.
They're talking about the whole thing, and there's a fanboy of the OG Watchmen on like this FBI team.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's her name that was part of the OG grabs him to come with her.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, yeah, you understand what's going on, obviously, but nobody else really believes you or gets it. So there is Hardboiled Agent, played by Fillion or whatever the other guy is that's on that Navy SEAL show now. Used to do Bones. That
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Angel.
is that his name?
No, he was Angel in the show, the spin-off from Buffy.
Oh, okay, yeah. So somebody that's
That's deep. That's deep.
really deep. But somebody that's kind of that hard boiled style,
Has that like
gritty nature, and it can't be. It could be Idris Elba. I kind of actually really like him for this role. For the guy that is just this hard boiled, like I've been assigned this case, but I don't want to believe in it type of thing, and you have to get a geeky nerd to play the conspiracy theorist because that's just how it works. So you get Jack Black to be that guy.
okay.
Even though he already did this in Jumanji, so I'm not really sure if that works. But you get somebody else that has to be some believable nerd, conspiracy theorist nerd, to be like, that's Australia, and everybody be like, what are you talking about? And then Idris or whoever this hardboiled guy is would be like, would you come to my office at a certain point?
Would you want a younger person?
For which part? I want a younger person for the conspiracy theorist. Almost Chernobyl style. You see what I'm going for there?
Yeah.
Where you have the person that really knows it,
And then the
and
person
they have
who's
to
just like
they have to make the person that was been assigned them know it type of thing. So you have to make, what was it, Chekhov or whatever, believe you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he starts pulling out all these maps of Australia and the world before and all this stuff, and he's like, this is what happened. Nobody talks about it anymore. Blah 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 blah. Which eventually makes them have to fly there.
Yeah, of course.
And then I don't know what happens when you get there. I haven't thought that far ahead. I've got all the build up to that point. They know there's monsters. Do we make it more than one? Or is it one big one?
Monsters?
Yeah. In Australia.
I feel like it would be. I don't think it should be a monster film as in like a singular monster.
Right, yeah. Just large things that are going to murder you. Like, not anaconda, but large snakes, large bears, large
Yeah.
everything.
Kind of
Everything's
everything's
just-
I guess.
Everything's just steroided and you're not sure why type of thing.
Yeah, then I guess we're getting into the King Kong-ish, which is
Not that big.
like the movie King Kong, the one where like it was like that. Like
Oh.
everything on the island was like huge.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be that big. I also
Well,
want some type of like mystery
These were
element to it.
these were creatures that were experimented on, right?
Yeah.
So they could be a combination of animals too.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
And you could have like things that would be large be small,
Yes.
and there'd be a lot of them.
like a horde of miniature gorillas
Yeah.
that actually look terrifying but do nothing because it's like giving a massage whenever they try to beat you. Just
Well, think of like
and then
so
you
they've been experimented on. So imagine gorillas that are half their size,
but twice as strong.
but they're also like way more of them, and they're all like basically rabid.
Okay, all right, I can live with that.
Or like just that general idea.
Giant, intelligent giraffes,
Nerdy,
bigger than they already are.
Nah, that'd be too on the nose, too odd, too cliche.
What for? Are you trying to cast the nerdy?
Yeah, I was looking at a list of like popular actors and actresses right now, and I saw Zoe Saldana, but that's just too.
No.
It's too.
Uh,
Paul Rudd.
no. Get out of this Marvel Cinematic Universe. I know that eliminates a lot of people, but get out of it.
It does.
What about
Adam Driver.
honestly? Honestly, I kind of like that actually, because
Because he can pull off
he
like that
has the-
nervous.
he has that terrible delivery that would be so good for it. Because what was it? The dead don't.
Yep. Dead Don't Die.
Yeah, the dead don't die. As far as I was concerned, terrible movie. But his delivery of everything, I'm thinking zombies. And you're like, that fits. That fits perfectly. Stephen Merchant also was in my head. Zendaya was also in my head, but that goes back into MCU.
Nick Cage.
No, we can't National Treasure this. And after Jiu-Jitsu, he's going to be way too expensive for us.
Nice.
What about oh my god, can we get Richard Ayoade?
Yes. Yes, we can.
That'd be so good.
That would be.
That'd be great.
All right, what else we got here? What else would we want to do?
We got to the island and we kind of determined what they were, but I don't know how this ends. I don't know.
I mean, do you want it to be like Jurassic Park-ish, where like there's clearly everything's like dilapidated and like.
I think there's going to be multiple defunct science facilities.
Humans are there.
Not many though.
Tribal,
Like hidden. Yeah.
where they kind of reverted.
Yes. That's how they managed to survive. And you don't find them until you had to run into the jungle, obviously, because there's a jungle in Australia
So
now.
do we want to play this like they're not friendly and it's almost like you don't know what's worse, the people or the creatures?
Interesting. Mexican standoff style. Yeah.
Because you think you're okay. Oh,
yeah,
people.
you're seeing other people, you go towards the other people.
And then you find out they're all tribal and they like do human sacrifices and they're all fucking
and they're-
psychos and
They have enough of their own knowledge in them to know that somebody at some point abandoned them.
yeah, maybe you could go that route.
Because that would be... Actually, no, they might not even know that, but that would be generations late.
Could be you could take the Horizon Zero Dawn approach where they like hate technology and think it's evil.
I think you would find that they are tribaled up in a jungle somewhere, and there were probably like, let's say there were 3 science facilities, a la a Jurassic World.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were 3 caged in environments at some point for them to be doing the experiments on and the tests on. But the crew that shows up with Richard Ayoade and whoever else, they fly to one of them because it's the only one that Richard knows the location of, only to find out that it's entirely overgrown. And entirely there's no power, there's nothing. And that's how he finds out that he sees, like, you see damages type of thing in like the cage units, obviously. So he knows everything's gone to shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you see cave paintings. They're not obviously cave paintings, but there is some type of like drawing or something on the inner walls of the building. Unclear how long it's been there, but it does indicate that they might have marked it as a like way for how to get back to their base from here type of thing.
Okay.
And then that's where they go. They eventually make their way through the woods, jungle, whatever the hell wants to be in Australia in this weird timeline. They make it as they're going through, they're coming across all these other creatures that existed and ones they didn't know existed. Like things that even the conspiracy theorist Richard is like, what? I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is. Only to then find the people and have them not accept them.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've seen one enemy, you were just introduced to another enemy, and now it becomes, what do we do? Because there has to be a reason they can't leave. Like that they couldn't just turn around and go back to the helicopter. There has to be a reason. Like either their helicopter got hit or destroyed or something. There has to be a reason that they can't just up and leave.
All right, so if you... I mean, you could go the route of the humans that are there are somewhat tribal now.
Yep.
They have an aversion to technology, but that doesn't necessarily mean they don't know how to use it or they don't know enough to like they could have been waiting for people to show up.
They have a rudimentary understanding of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the problem, is that they've sent people prior and they've never come back because the humans there are like actively
Capturing them.
and or killing them and or stopping them from being able to leave by like destroying helicopters or modes of transportation.
I think this movie ends with them dying. The team sent there dies.
Mm-hmm.
And like once again, it's just the story of they lost another team to Australia.
Yep. Like their one speed bump on this road.
Yeah, because they can't figure out how to do it. They just keep losing teams to this Australia, this place.
Mm-hmm.
And it just ends with them.
One of them has to die, and then the other one commits suicide.
Conspiracy theorist dies to the tribe.
Yeah, and the other guy is like besieged on all sides essentially and just like caps himself.
Yeah. He finds himself, I don't even know if he would cap himself. Maybe he goes with guns. No, not positive. But he finds himself mid battlefield, tribe on one side, monsters on the other, and just it
says fuck it.
Doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And like right before you see whatever might kill him, kills himself. And then that's just the end of the movie.
There are cliffs on one of the shores of one of the coastlines.
So he goes for the old jump.
Just jumps straight off. They're like cliffs of Dover style cliffs where there's just sheer cliffs and it's rock and ocean.
Yeah, so we could go for the idea that he gets chased to that point.
Yeah, maybe he's dead, maybe he's alive. Leave it a
little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
Open enough for Australia 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. Exactly.
Where he washes up on a shore somewhere, somebody finds him and he goes through this whole thing.
He washes up on the shore of New Zealand.
Ooh, interesting. Also didn't think that was real. Like there's a whole thing.
Or Tasmania. Ooh.
Yeah, I like that. So I like that he somehow evades, say, the monsters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only to run into the tribe again. As he's been trying to find a way off this island after his conspiracy theorist killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
Or not killed himself, but got killed by the tribe. He managed to evade the tribe only to find the monsters. Evades the monsters eventually, only to then run into it like a scouting party of the tribe while he's next to the cliffs, and decides, I'm just gonna jump.
Yeah.
If I die, I die. And he jumps off the cliff, and that's the end of the movie.
And then he post-credit scenes. You get the Uncharted 4 Nathan Drake teaser with him on the shore.
I was gonna go with that or with the Last of Us boat scene, one of the two.
Yeah, but then in the background you'd have to see a massive Tasmanian dog, or whatever the fuck they're called. Silhouette. They're fucking weird looking.
I was liking that, or you just see this entirely advanced civilization. Like he washes up on shore, and somehow just off the coast of Australia is this like Dubai is just there, and he's like, and it just leaves you with so many questions of how is there this thriving city within wash up distance when that island is the exact opposite.
So we go the opposite route from there, where hyper advanced humans who. I'm gonna show you a picture of a test.
Yeah. Hyper advanced humans, but the point of almost the what are the code keepers? Not code keepers. That's not the word I want. The librarians called in Star Wars. The really tall people.
Are you talking about the clone? The clone people?
The one when Obi-Wan goes to look at the archives. The really tall, long-necked people.
That's the cloners, the Camino.
Yeah, Caminos.
Mhm.
Yeah. They're basically like that. They're humans like that, where that's how they speak, where they're so elevated and fancy in their speak that they don't understand some of his primitive things.
Mhm.
Like, we don't know what you're talking about. And but that's movie 2. That's movie 2. That's another discussion at another time.
Oh, I thought these things were extinct. Apparently, they're not.
No, I don't think Tasmanian devils were extinct.
Wasn't there some Tasmanian?
I mean, at this point, there's probably a bunch of shit that's extinct, but
It was Tasmanian dog as well as it was extinct. Hey, you can look it up.
Sorry, I'm not looking. I'm looking something else up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Likely story.
Yep.
But yeah, I like both those movies.
I think we got some solid stuff to work on here, to work from.
I like that the first one ends. It just ends.
We make some dark fucking movies.
Oh yeah, for sure. There. I mean, the first one's dark, but it does have a redemption arc in it. Only to then go to immediately worse.
I was gonna say, what?
Well, he redeems himself by beating his former foe. He just no longer knows he is himself because he's become Colonel Sanders.
He's lost his humanity.
Yeah.
He
became consumed by Colonel Sanders.
And the second one's just like straight up like.
The second one's just a monster movie, but really dark. But we did leave that open for a sequel.
True. I feel like we can't do. I feel like we'd have a hard time doing an upbeat movie.
I feel like we could do one, but we would have to. It would have to be just be comedy. Like, we wouldn't even have to be able to skirt there wouldn't be an idea of a feel good movie. It would have to just go straight comedy with an outlandish plot.
Yeah.
Something along the lines of a bunch of nerds decide to rob PAX. Or like the gaming convention, but I know those movies have already been done and they're all written terribly.
Do like a science fiction comedy, maybe. Science fantasy. Or just the fantasy one. They always turn out cheesy though.
Yeah, everything like that turns into such cheese. Like, I was gonna remember the show The Guild. It was the web series.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that has a really good idea in it. I just never cared.
Yeah.
I could never get into it. But I think it has a really good idea. Or similar to the way remember the movie Tag? Renner and John Hamm and
I never saw it, but I know what
I
you're
never
talking
saw
about.
it either. But that was based on a real group of guys that play tag once a year. I think you could do that exact thing, but a la every 2 years when the new MMO gets an expansion type of thing. And it's them going hard for a month with each other and the trials and tribulations of such. Having to deal with their wives and trying to take time off from work and ditch kids and all this stuff to just get 2 hours a night in to actually hang out with their boys to play games.
Mm-hmm.
Or it boils down to that, but then like one guy meets a girl, the one single guy of the group meets a girl that's totally into it,
Mm-hmm.
and they, it's 2020, so it's unbelievably sexist, but they like refuse to bring her in. But the one guy's like, I'm bringing her in. This isn't like a discussion. And then that breaks the whole like mold.
Could you go with the Hangover thing where what you're saying, where a group of guys gets together for the expansion all the time, and one of them gets a new girlfriend or whatever.
Ooh, actually,
they spend all this effort and energy trying to kidnap him or escape or whatever the case is.
That's the key.
And
it's a bunch of single guys, and the one popular one, the one true non-nerd, air quote, your stereotypical, he's not a nerd look, needs to get kidnapped because the new expansion's coming out.
they go through all this effort, and it's crazy romp, And then at the end of the movie, it turns out that she's actually like also super into it.
Yeah.
And
Or it turns out like she's
mega geared.
she's
like,
a persona they
Yeah.
know the name of, but they never knew the person behind the name.
Mhm. And she's been hiding it from him the whole time.
Oh yeah, because she refuses to think that he would find it attractive that she was so nerdy about something.
And there
They've
you
been
go.
gaming
Happy
in
ending.
secret type of thing. Yeah. It's so stupidly cheesy, but it's so easily done. Like, wait, are you guys talking about blah blah blah? Yeah. Oh, well, you could have just said so. This is the last 5 minutes of the movie. You could have just said so. I mean, I would have been okay with it. Really? You'd be okay? Like, it's gonna be a lot of time. We're gonna steal. You're fine with that? Yeah.
She has
Besides, I'll play with you guys.
she has a fake door in her walk-in closet.
Yeah.
It slides closed back, and there's a fucking
Pocket door that
battle
just
station.
slides into a battle station. Like, yeah, I would have just played with you guys. You could have just said something. And they're like, "What do you mean played with us? Do you know what we're talking about?" She's like, "Yeah, my character's so and so," and they just all go. You see like the weird double take where they all go look at themselves as she's clearly not standing in the circle because they're each holding on to a different part of him to pull him away. And they all look at each other when she says the character name and they're like, and they just slowly do the turn back and they're like, "Wait, you?" She's like, "Yeah. What of it?" Happy ending and all that good stuff. All right, there, we made a happy movie. 2 darks and a happy. Eventually, we could, you know what we could never make? I'd tell you this right now. This is something I know we can't ever make. Kids movie. Either animation or not. We can't make one. Because I'm going to want to drop a fuck in there somewhere.
Kids movies are like,
even though kids movies now, I'm pretty sure do that.
yeah, watching some old kids movies, I'm like, damn, like how did I not see?
Ed,
How did I
Nettie,
not see these things?
old cartoons. How was Cat Dog okay?
Yeah,
SpongeBob's got a lot of stuff going on.
Ren and Stimpy.
Oh my god, the Canadian Yaxman anthem. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Ed, Nettie. Yeah, man, there's a lot of. I enjoyed this brainstorming session, Matt.
All right, now we gotta get on it. Start making movies.
The Gamers 2 production company will be forming an LLC in 2021. We expect the money that we raise on Indiegogo from you guys to be well over $4 million because we don't know what we're doing. So we're going to need a cover. We're going to need an overhead.
Yeah, we are willing to entertain investors.
Yeah. Forgotten Lake, the Lake of the Woods Brewing Company. Microsoft, just to get it in. We'll put the movie on Game Pass.
There you go.
We'll put the movie on Game Pass, day and date release in theaters. If you want a vinyl version for some weird reason, we'll send it to you. Send you a vinyl soundtrack. Because we know we're going to have a banger of a soundtrack for whatever movie we do. It's going to be great.
Terrible. Just terrible.
One of these times we should do our own stand-up routines. Know how bad that would go?
Pretty bad.
I can't do. I don't think I can do a stand-up routine. I don't think I can.
I wonder if we could make a movie just using like footage from other movies, special effects, and like
Somebody
deep
with
learning, like deep fake stuff.
Oh yeah, somebody with more talent could, I'm sure.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm sure if we found the person that had the talent, we could direct it.
Yeah.
But we will 100% not be able to do that. I just like the creative story building. Just sit here and bullshit, think of ideas, think of things. But it's what I love about when we record and I go into just tangents where I'm like, that would be a really funny stand-up bit. but also I'm just going and going and going because I'm getting enough of a reaction out of you
Mm-hmm.
where I know I can keep going. But if I was just up on stage just bullshitting about some of this stuff and staring to a dead audience, I'd lose my mind.
We got to another idea that we'll never do is we could upscale it, add video, a whiteboard, and legit storyboard.
We keep saying video and whiteboard. Those, along with Game Pass, might be our 3 most used words this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to do these things. They're in my head to do them. We need to revisit this. Our production ideas. And actually press some buttons on some things.
Big red buttons. Boop.
It's dangerous buttons to press, Matt.
Boop.
But I want to press them.
Boop.
Boopity boop boop. Boop. That being said, happy holidays. Next week will be our Game of the Year discussion.
Not next week.
Yes, next week.
Next week?
This is the 25th, Matt.
Oh, yeah.
Next week.
Just kidding.
Next week will be our Game of the Year discussion. Might not be, there probably won't be a news one. It'll just be the Game of the Year discussion. If there is a news one, it'll be the same episode. We'll burn through the news real quick and then get into our Game of the Year discussion.
Yeah,
once again, there's not much news at this point.
Theoretically, there shouldn't be much.
There shouldn't be. CD Projekt Red might have blown up, but we'll discuss about that if it happens. Game Pass. You know, the typical things we have to get. We have to shoehorn in because otherwise we don't get our gratuity
I think this
checks.
might be our most prepared for Game of the Year.
It'll be probably.
Because I think we've hit a lot of the games that are on people's lists for Game of the Year.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I think between us we have managed to hit everything, and if not, I have Valhalla to hit.
Yeah, and I have Hades.
I have Valhalla and Miles Morales to hit.
That's not even on my list.
No, I know, but I mean, people would have it in their list, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, I don't think Cyberpunk will make my list. It'll make my top 10 of the year, probably. Probably. But even that's not guaranteed. It's not number 1, though. Not yet.
That kind of is interesting then, because
you'll see immediately what I'm talking about. I think we both have actually, no, we don't have the same number 1. I'd put money on it. We don't have the same number 1.
Oh, totally not. It's not even like everyone knows what my number 1 is.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
It's not even.
But I think we also both do agree on mine. So it's not like we're
we're
not breaking new ground out here.
My plan is to actually revisit some of these games. I gotta play a little bit of Cyberpunk. I do want to play a little bit of Hades. And then I'm going to revisit probably Half-Life, Alex, a little bit, just to rekindle some thoughts. And yeah, that's the plan for me.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll see you guys in 7 days. Bye-bye.